Well, random violent encounters are replayed every day in the criminal justice system.
And complete strangers can suddenly be linked forever through that violence, endless court hearings, and the long process of picking up the pieces.
But this is a story about how two victims and their fiercely devoted families forged a bond of determination and hope. Investigative reporter Mike-Perlstein has their story.
Two young men from very different worlds. Two New Orleans families that probably never would have crossed paths.
I did like 6 sports when I was a kid. I was skiing, biking, scuba diving, soccer, lacrosse.
I was the inside homebody. I read books, and if I wasn't reading, I was in the band.
But the lives of Noah Hansard and Daryl Scott, both 26, took almost identical dark turns. Good kids minding their own business, one in Lake Terrace, one in the east. Each was confronted by armed robbers, each shot in the back, each paralyzed from the waist down. Their memories of those encounters, 3 years apart, cast a permanent shadow.
You know, you're left to your own thoughts. They obviously pop in. What could have gone differently, what I should have done differently.
I had a nightmare that I got shot again.
Noah and Daryl went through parallel challenges with hospitals, doctors, rehab, and adjusting to living in a wheelchair. Amid those hardships, police made arrests and prosecutors brought charges, turning Noah's mom, Elizabeth Hansard, and Daryl's grandmother, Dorothy White, into criminal justice advocacy they never asked for and certainly never wanted. But that's how they found each other.
I felt very much alone. We didn't know anything about this criminal system and how it works.
The system just doesn't provide information. She's my support, and I try to be her support.
The defendant in Daryl's case, Lionel Reynolds, was only 13 when he shot Daryl after he could only come up with $1 during a robbery. At first, Daryl and Dorothy favored a measure of leniency after Reynolds was sentenced to juvenile life. That is until he turns 21. But that leniency evaporated after Reynolds escaped several times from custody. He has since added 5 years to his sentence for his most recent escape that ended with his capture in Texas. In Noah's case, the two men charged, Cruz Matute and Tata Say, are still awaiting trial for armed robbery and attempted murder. The families are each other's biggest support systems.
For some reason, Dorothy and I just really meshed.
Yes.
And our story is pretty similar.
Very much.
So it made sense that we would align.
That connection has since grown far beyond the courtroom. The two have become vocal criminal justice advocates, testifying at legislative hearings, meeting state officials, lobbying for victims' rights. Their voices help pass new notification requirements after prison escapes and greater transparency for juvenile criminal records. Elizabeth was fiery from the start, but her new friend Dorothy wasn't far behind.
I just felt that she had such an impactful voice and it was not being heard.
And while their protectors were becoming self-styled activists, Noah and Daryl were, well, youngsters. And what do young people do? Play video games.
We ran into each other in Baton Rouge for the first time, and we just started talking about video games, and it just went from there.
We be in our own world. We forget y'all are here. Sorry, not sorry. We're gamers.
Yeah.
We're gamers. Plug your joystick and connect.
So while Noah completes marine engineering classes at UNO, and Daryl is out looking for his next job, they bond online. And even heavy topics have a way of staying lighthearted.
If you notice, his wheelchair is way smaller.
Look at it.
So I call mine the tank, and it's the scooter.
But see, I prefer the infantry, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's how some of the strongest friendships are usually made, people that have suffered together.
That's right. Exactly.
Hashtag you're stuck with me, bud.
Another common bond among this unlikely group is hope and determination.
To fulfill that dream of getting walking, that would be the ultimate victory. That's my next chapter, and I'm sure Dorothy,
Yes, it is.
y'all will be joining me.
We will.
Mike-Perlstein, WWL, Louisiana.
Noah and his mom were bracing for the trial this week for his two accused attackers, but it was postponed indefinitely.
And while the robber who put Darrell in a wheelchair is serving his sentence, a former teacher of Lionel Reynolds is still awaiting trial, charged with being an accessory to his most recent escape.